to you live from the planning board hearing that's being held tonight again at the Board of Education headquarters. This is the meeting room for the Board of Ed. It was thought that the crowd, as you can see, it is pretty big. It was thought that the crowd was going to be too big for the council chambers for these B9 hearings, so they decided to move the venue to the former Consolata Missionaries property where the school board has some offices. But, as luck would have it, we will not be hearing B9 this evening. About 15-20 minutes ago, the planning board was informed by Link lawyers that, based on comments and questions and other input that the company has received concerning their proposal to build two very, very large warehouses next to the Canal Walk 55 and over development, they have postponed the hearing. They're going to take the drawings back to the drawing board, and they're going to see what they can do. They may, as it was explained to me, they may come back with one building. They may come back with a totally conforming application. We don't know, but we're going to find out. Instead, there's going to be a hearing on the amendment to the Township Master Plan, which will allow for the amendment to the warehouse ordinance that the council has introduced, which would in effect ban or make it very difficult for future warehouses to be built in Franklin Township. We just got the 2-minute warning from the vice chairman, who's acting as chairman tonight, Charles Brown. Mike Orsini apparently is not going to be here. I think you mentioned that at the last meeting. I don't quite remember. But as you can see, we got just about a full house again tonight. Most of these folks don't know that the B9 is not going to be heard tonight. You're getting it first. And I guess they'll be disappointed, but maybe not so much disappointed knowing that a lot of their concerns are being heard by the developers. But we're going to sit tight, and we are going to await the start of this hearing. Again, Franklin Township, this is Bill Bowman from the Franklin Reporter and Advocate, coming to you live from this evening's planning board hearing.
Check. All right, it is officially 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. My name is Charles T. Brown. I'm the Vice Chair of the Planning Board. Chairman Marcini could not be here tonight. This meeting is officially called to order. So in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Planning Board of the Township of Franklin has been provided. Board members, applicants, professionals, and members of the public, please speak directly into microphones so that our recording secretary can properly process minutes. Applicants and professionals, please fill out the sheet on the table when you have completed your testimony. Thank you for that. Should anyone need masks, they are available in the back. We're now going to move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please stand. Flags in front and behind. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going to move to roll call.
Okay, folks, the B9 warehouse hearing is not going to be held tonight. The developer has decided to pull its application for the time being to take into account comments and questions that were made at the last hearing, and perhaps come back with a more conforming application at some point in the future. We don't know when.
All right, we're now going to move to regular minutes dated November 9, 2022. Christine, can you let us know who's all who could vote on this?
Move to approve.
Okay. Hold on a second.
So November 9th, only Chairman Orsini cannot vote.
Thank you.
So Mr. Thomas moved to approve, and we have a second. Sammy? Okay, Council. Councilman Imbarson?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabon?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Mansray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
All right, moving on to December 7th, 2022, regular minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who's second?
Who's up?
Okay, Councilman Imbarson?
Actually.
You're abstaining. Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabon?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Mansray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Before moving roll call on December 21st, who's eligible for that?
I don't know, I don't have them with me.
Okay.
So what I'll do is just call the names and I'll just take off who's not supposed to be on.
Sounds good. Is there a motion for December 21st?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
Has been moved and probably second.
I'm sorry, Ted was, are you, he was talking? Ted was, are you the one that moved it, Ted?
I moved it.
I'm sorry. And I heard Mr. Thomas second. Councilman Imbarson? Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabon?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Mansray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's now move to Resolution 2023 Board Attorney.
I would move the motion to approve the resolution to appoint the board attorney for 2023.
Second. It's been moved and probably second.
Councilman Imbarson?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabon?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Mansray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you all. We're now moving to discussion, extension of time for Harbor Group PLN 21-00020.
I want to say good morning to
Please
you.
remember to speak into the mic, please.
Okay.
Please remember to speak into the
I
mic.
know, it's a new one, so I think
This
it's
is new, and that's why I had to remind
you and Chris don't yell at me. I see a red light?
You
There's
turn
a
it on.
button on the side too, if you.
Oh, now we're on.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Once it turns red,
Can you hear me?
no, sir. It needs to be red. There you go. All right.
Got it. Okay. Okay, I don't have to hold it in my hand. Ms. Brown, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Jim Stahl, Board of Stahl, Napoleon, the Yellow Line and Stahl. This is a request for an extension of time to perfect a minor subdivision. Some of you will recall, the resolution was granted in March of 2022, and the application was approved in March, resolution was provided in June. We've been working with the staff to get a proper description and the subdivision deeds. And as today everything takes time, we're looking for a 190-day extension within which to perfect the subdivision, getting the descriptions approved by staff, and then we will file them. That's what my application at the will be.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? I move to approve the extension of time for 190 days. Been moved and properly second.
Councilman, Sammy second.
Sammy did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilman Imbarson?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabon?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Mansray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you. We're now going to move into public comments. At this time, a reminder.
Mr. Brown,
Oh, you guys.
I want to say that the audience, anyone who's here, to save them the time.
Jimmy, hold on.
Mr. Chairman, I'll repeat for the record, James Stahl, S-T-A-H-L, Forest Gold, Foley, Vignola, Hyman, Stahl. Rather than wait for other business, I did want to interfere with anyone's plans for this evening in the audience. I represent B9, a schoolhouse who's on for an extension of the hearing tonight, based upon its last meeting. However, I want to tell the board that the applicant and our professional staff, including council, have reviewed the comments and the input that you, board members, gave. It is our intention to eliminate, to the extent we can, all variances, so it is a fully compliant application. I'm not looking for a specific date today. We will provide revised applications and plans for review by the public and professional staff. At that time, we'll confirm with Chris and Mr. Healy a date. We will renotice, because the notice will absolutely be different to the extent that we do eliminate variances, the content will change. So my request is just to advise the board that we want to carry it without a date, with due notice, and we will submit all plans as required and then seek a new date. We're not, just for the record, I don't want the public to be misled in any fashion. We are not withdrawing the application. The application as submitted remains in place. What we intend to do is to make such revisions and amendments to the application to eliminate all variances to make it fully compliant. That's our intention. And we hope that we think we can succeed.
All right, I hope the public heard in regards to B9 Schoolhouse Owner LLC, that's PLN 22-0011. It will be renoticed at a time to be determined. It will not be heard tonight. Apologies for everyone that came out tonight in regards to B9. I want you to know how much I value and respect your time. This is unfortunate, but he has every right to do so. Hopefully, we did not cause you any inconveniences tonight.
Mr. Brown, can I say one thing?
If you have any comments, we will entertain those during the general, or there won't be any comments on this one. So no.
I just wish someone called.
There are no comments on this one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good night.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, a question for the, we need to discuss with them the early extension deadline, or we wait till March 31st?
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. The only, to the extent that Chris needs an extension, we'll provide the extension. I don't have the dates, and I don't think Frank has them either.
But we are good until March 31st of this year, so we'll make sure that we get an extension
Whatever you need.
beyond that date scheduled.
Second thing, so that it's clear to the public, there'll be an additional renoticing for the next scheduled hearing. So the public will be getting registered letters with a notification, so that's clear.
There'll be a new publication and a new service, certified mail on all. And we'll do an updated 200-foot list because 6 months may pass by the time we're ready to notice, so yes.
Okay. Yes, that's all.
Yes, for the record, we really would appreciate in the future for the public had an opportunity to learn of this much sooner. People travel specifically for this, so that we don't establish any appearances of mistrust, distrust, and just complete disrespect for their time. Let's try to let them know. All right, everyone, please listen up at this time. Listen up, please. It's time for public comments. We will only hear general planning comments at this time. If you have comments, we will be only hearing general planning comments at this time. Please approach the podium if you would like to.
Mr. Chairman, we want to just give 2-3 minutes and let the room clear out.
As we said, Franklin, we are going to be continuing to live stream this meeting because we are going to be doing a hearing on the master plan, which is going to take into account the ordinance amendments to the township's warehouse ordinance. The amendments in effect ban any new warehouses from being built in the township, or at least make it very difficult for them to be built. So while this isn't the B9 hearing, it is related to warehouses, and warehouses is something on everybody's mind. So we're going to keep on keeping on. But as you can see, most of the crowd is leaving. And apparently the board is waiting for the din to die before they pick up again. Section, which is where folks can just get up and talk about planning issues in general. They cannot comment on any current applications.
All right, everyone. If you're remaining, please take a seat. If you're remaining, please take a seat unless you're going to approach the podium. Is there a motion from the board to open it up for public comment? So moved. It's been moved by Sammy, seconded by Dr. Chase. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seeing none? Seeing none? Anyone want to come up and speak on general planning comments? Seeing none, I believe we close it. Public comments at this time? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, now it's time for a hearing, master plan update, warehouse development. Turn it over to Mark.
Good evening. So I give a pretty much the same summary that I provided at the work session. This is a master plan amendment that is before the board for consideration this evening. I'll just run through the documents as drafted. The first few paragraphs speak to the purpose of the master plan update. It speaks to the exponential growth in development applications for warehouses, consisting of 2 dozen applications since 2007 or 2018, totaling several million square feet. Second paragraph speaks about the anticipated impacts to the quality of life to the township, including truck traffic, noise, and air pollution. And then the third paragraph gets into essentially the meat of the matter, which is that the substance of the land use or the update is to update the land use element of the master plan to recommend that warehouse development be removed as a permitted use in the business and industry zone. The next paragraph talks about or outlines the updated purpose of the business and industry zone. And then the last two bullet points on the first page makes two related amendments or recommendations related to the land development ordinance. The first one being that the Schedule 1, which is the schedule of permitted uses, would, to be consistent with this recommendation, need to be updated to eliminate warehouse and distribution as a permitted use in the VI zone, and to amend Article 5 conditional uses to eliminate the conditional use standards for that use. And then the last bullet mentions a number of related portions of the land development ordinance, including not limited to parking requirements, the section that has definitions, sign requirements, etc. Basically, portions of the ordinance that reference warehouse and distribution would be similarly deleted. The last page makes a number of observations with respect to this recommendation. The first being that the township ordinance would remain consistent with the objective / recommendation that the township maintain sufficient area for industrial districts to ensure adequate space for light industry and development of other permitted uses, and notes that roughly 4.8 square miles of the township, which is about 10% of the township, would remain in the VI zone. It mentions the fact that the VI zone would continue to permit a wide variety of uses, and notes the number of other permitted uses that remain permitted in that zone. Third paragraph talks about that there remain substantial opportunities for warehouse use in that zone in the form of several million square feet on various properties in existing warehouse sites, in previously approved warehouse sites, or in validly pending applications for warehouse development. And that was clarified last time that consists of applications that have not yet come before the board, but where there were applications that were a complete application was made before an effective date of the ordinance. It notes that if the property is already in the VI zone, and is already developed with a warehouse, that use would become a legal pre-existing non-conforming use. The existing warehouse could remain in perpetuity. If somebody chose to wanting to expand that use, they would have the right to apply to the zoning board for a D2 use variance, which is for expansion of non-conforming use. And then applicants would continue to have the right to apply for a use variance if they chose to, for a D1 use variance before the ZBA. So that's basically the sum of the master plan amendment for you. As described, we discussed this at a work session the last meeting. The purpose of tonight is to present this to the public and have the opportunity, and provide the public an opportunity to comment on this amendment before you decide on it.
Thank you, Mark. Any board questions or comments? Seeing none. Is there a motion to the public?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and probably second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, it's open to the public. In regards to public comment, we're going to start first with the attorneys representing. How many attorneys we have here speaking? 3. Okay, each person will receive 10 minutes each, max. You go with.
Here, up there.
Wherever you want to go.
Yes.
No, I gotta stand. First one. Hey, good evening. I first wanted to thank the board for shuffling the agenda, because now this made my job a lot easier. Everyone's gone, except for these fine My name is Frank Vitolo. I am with the law firm of Stills, Cummis & Gross. I represent Heller Industrial. It owns 9 properties in Franklin Township, 5 of which are developed with warehouse distribution facilities, and 4 that are vacant. In July 2022, not even 6 months ago, we appeared before the town council to object to the adoption of an ordinance severely limiting the development of warehouse and distribution centers in Franklin Township. We explained to the council how devastating this ordinance would be to my client's current operations and future plans. We also explained how there was a right way to introduce an ordinance that had such a significant impact, and that there was a wrong way to introduce the ordinance. I then explained to you how the town did it the wrong way. The town ignored the facts that I laid out during that hearing, and it ignored our pleas for reasonableness. You adopted the ordinance, the town did anyway, and Heller and 9 other impacted property owners filed lawsuits seeking to reverse the town council's flawed decision. In response, the town introduced a new ordinance, a blanket ban on warehouses in the B1 zone, with no outs and no exceptions. My client Heller has operated in this township for over 40 years. They pay around $800,000 a year in taxes. They employ local residents. They funded the construction of a senior center and helped stabilize the local economy. So, rather than invite Heller in and the other property owners to discuss a fair and reasonable way of controlling warehouse development in the B1 zone, the town doubled down. As a thank you for decades of being tax-paying job creators, the town is treating Heller like an enemy. It's wrong, and you know it's wrong. The master plan amendment before you this evening is ill-conceived, rushed, and not supported by any credible evidence. I'm just going to give you 10 reasons, there are many more, why you should vote no. Number 1, the town has failed to provide a meaningful opportunity for Heller to participate in this process. Number 2, the town failed to study the alleged traffic impacts that would be caused by additional warehouse development. In fact, some of the uses still permitted in the zone, like manufacturing, bring the same amount of traffic and have a much greater impact on the environment. The town failed to update the circulation element, and no traffic study was commissioned as part of the re-examination. The current version of the circulation element doesn't even address alleged impacts of truck traffic. The town failed to engage with the county or NJDOT regarding any alleged impact on the road system. The town failed to study the alleged environmental impact from warehouse development. There have no studies been done to show why the areas impacted here are particularly sensitive. The town failed to consider the impact of the amended plan and the new ordinance. For example, no study was done on how this will impact the township's affordable housing obligations or how it will impact the township's tax revenue. The town failed to distinguish the alleged impacts between large distribution facilities and so-called last-mile facilities. They are very different, and they have very different impacts on traffic and the community. The town made no site-specific inquiries to determine the suitability of any facility for any certain location. The town failed to compile any studies or data on the alleged air and noise pollution. In support of the ban, the town improperly cherry-picked provisions of the State Planning Commission's guidance. In fact, the State Planning Guidance is a 48-page document, and it recommends that the towns work with the property owners to come up with narrowly tailored ways of controlling warehouse development. The guidance also focuses on the many different types of warehouse facilities there are, and how some are very appropriate in certain locations in a town. The town didn't follow any of that guidance. The town failed to allow Heller the opportunity to present planning testimony to you here tonight, and has limited Heller and others to only 10 minutes to try and avoid irreparable harm to its 40 years of doing business here. How in the world can you move forward with this process in good faith when you have not even heard from the people and businesses that are most impacted by what you're going to do this evening? In 2020, 2021, you updated the master plan to allow more warehouse development, not less. What occurred in 1 year to justify banning something you were just expanding? This board owes the property owners an answer to that question. In high school, we learned in history class the reason why pure democracies can't exist. Because if every person's opinion is given equal weight in the governmental process, the mob will always rule. It's your job, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that the interests of those most impacted are heard and treated fairly. Do not let the mob rule. Allow Heller and the others a meaningful opportunity to participate in this process so we can together come up with a way of controlling warehouse growth that satisfies the legal requirements and recognizes the decades of contributions that my clients and others represented here tonight have made to this community. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Please note also we appreciate others' 40 years in the community. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Francis B. Littis. My offices are at 11 Clyde Road here in Somerset, New Jersey, and I'm pleased to represent Northern Nurseries on 487 Elizabeth Avenue in Somerset, New Jersey. We join in the comments made by Mr. Vitolo on behalf of Heller. We also are litigants in the litigation against the ordinance that was adopted by the Township Council back in July of 2022. We opposed it then, and we're opposing this ordinance, and we're opposing this purported master plan update consisting of 2 or 3 pages, and last page notably indicating what the law is about non-conforming uses, etc. Let me give you a little bit of background about Northern Nurseries for those of you who don't know where they are or who they are. Once again, they're at 487 Elizabeth Avenue. In 1998, when I was a much younger attorney, I obtained for Northern Nurseries a use variance. They were in the M1 zone at the time, and I obtained a use variance for their nursery. And since that time, a period of about 24 years now, they've been operating the nursery here in Franklin Township. Back in 2016, this township did a master plan update, and I'll term that a real master plan update because it was backed up by studies and certain strategic plans. And this is what it looked like, the strategic zoning and economic development recommendations of the business and industry zone, and was born at that time in September of 2020, after 4 years of study, a master plan that the town should have been proud of and was proud of, but apparently is no longer proud of, because that document generated the ordinance that was adopted, which expanded and allowed warehouse use in the BI zone. It merged the M1, the M2 zone, and the CB zone for various reasons, all detailed in the strategic zoning and economic development recommendations, business and industry zone master plan update. That is a master plan update. That is an amendment to the master plan, and that is a master plan that was re-examined properly. It's our position, along with the others who are litigating the ordinances, that this particular update of a master plan has been rushed. There are no studies supporting that master plan amendment, and it just doesn't work. It can't succeed. So we're basically in litigation with the town. My client particularly, as a result of the proper rezoning of its property at the time into the BI zone and allowing warehouses, entered into a contract to sell the nursery to a warehouse developer. We've been told that the warehouse developer was 30 days from filing a complete application with the planning board, when they, of course, were turned down to file the application because the ordinance changed, and it was no longer a permitted use in the BI zone. And it appears that we'll be losing that contract. Northern Nurseries, it appears, will be losing that contract. And my question to the board is, how fair is that? Has the board taken into account, as Mr. Vitolo has indicated, not only the interests of the residents and the local residents, have they looked at the site-specific information that's necessary to support or reject a warehouse use in the BI zone? What happened between 2020 and 2022 to cause this change and this purported master plan update that's before the board this evening? So I submitted a letter that I'm making part of the record. I sent it out today, addressed it to Chairman Orsini, who's not here for right now, and the board members, and I'm making reference to that and placing that matter on the record, and it indicates our objections, not only to this purported master plan update, but ultimately to the ordinance that's being heard by the Township Council next week. I believe it's on the 24th. I haven't heard anything about any consistency determination by the board. I assume the board will make a determination if, as and when the master plan update is approved tonight at this public hearing. I note that following this public hearing, there'll be a discussion by the planning board. I'm not sure whether I'll have another opportunity to object to whatever is happening with respect to that discussion on the ordinance, but I want to say right now that we're opposing on behalf of Northern Nurseries, along with the other litigants involved, the master plan update that's before the board, as well as any consistency determination, because we believe, and I believe, that the real master plan is contained in the September 2020 re-examination and public hearing on the master plan. So having said that, I'm not going to use the rest of my 10 minutes. I think Mr. Vitolo adequately pointed out some of the problems that exist with respect to this proposed master plan. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Frank, your letter will be considered part of the record,
Yes.
all right, and it will not be a second public discussion. Mr. Vitolo, your letter will also be part of the record.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clarkin. Thank you, board.
Thank you, and please let your client know we appreciate them as well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is John Kaplan. I am from the law firm, the Harold Law Firm. Sorry. I am from the Harold Law Firm in Warren Township, New Jersey. Much like Mr. Vitolo and Mr. Lennis, our firm is also involved in litigation with regard to the most recent ordinance amendment. We have three clients that are involved. NCS Franklin, PES Franklin, LL 46, Onyx 1718, North Washington, LLC, Toronto Executive 1, 2, and 3. Of those three property owners, there's a total of 5 lots in the B1 zone. As Mr. Lennis said, Mr. Vitolo covered everything. I'm not going to take up my 10 minutes, but we would like to place on the record our objection to this master plan amendment. As we said previously, this was rushed. There's no studies. There's been no consistency, determination. We didn't hear anything about that. There's no rational basis why the entire B1 zone blanketed with this ban. So for the record this evening,
Kaplan, did you have a letter? Because I haven't seen it.
I do not have one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
Joe Halpin, 5 Congress Court. I guess I'm a member of the mob. I have 2 very simple questions. One, your definition of warehouse and distribution and the source of that definition.
So this is not a Q&A type of format,
Okay.
all right? We'll hear all of your input.
At a future date.
Not now,
Oh.
whatever input you want to give us.
Okay. But not a question.
Now, question.
Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes.
My name is Sally Zaharchek. I live at 4 Constitution Way, Somerset, New Jersey. I have great respect for what the corporate attorney for Premier had to say. I have great respect for corporate attorneys. I raised one. I do not necessarily agree with him, but I then most of the time don't agree with my daughter either. So let me explain just a little bit about why I don't agree with his assessment and statement, and then maybe we can artfully and respectfully agree to disagree. Premier Homes has been here in the community for many years, so have I. 20 years ago, my husband and I moved here and bought a home from Premier. We have been immensely dissatisfied with the home. We had to replace windows that leaked after 10 years. We've had to watch our neighbors replace floors. We have had numerous problems.
Excuse me, this is not,
No,
not the
I'm
place.
just,
I just want
it's
to,
relative to the warehouse issue.
please stay on topic.
I will.
According to the warehouse. Thank
I
you.
will.
All right.
I do not necessarily agree that they've been a valued member of the community. To that end, when I look at the town and what this town is trying to accomplish, I look at a town that we chose. I am not against business. I served for 10 years on the board of the Chamber of Commerce in New York. I am very pro-business. I do not believe that a town does not have the right to set a vision for itself. In fact, I think it's prudent, and to set a master plan and reset it to a degree, and first and foremost, for the health, safety, and well-being of its citizens. Encouraging business, encouraging quality business, and encouraging a quality layout that works for all. To that end, I sincerely hope that this town does take all of those things into play and proceeds to pass a moratorium, because there are other places in this state where more warehouses can be built, and I think we've done our fair share to accommodate that business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Marlon Kwan, 28 Grace Corner. I just want to applaud the planning board and the township. I think this is too long, too late, and, you know, for the interest of money, I can understand the attorneys being here. They cost a bundle, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, it's all about the town residents. They forget that because they don't live here. They can forget that because they're making money.
Please stay on topic, sir.
I am. I was talking about warehouses.
Let's make sure we don't disrespect the warehouse representatives, though. Everyone's been respectful.
I understand that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The bottom line is that we need to focus on the residents. There is no doubt that warehouses serve a purpose. There is no doubt that industry serves a purpose. But the residents should be first.
And when the BI zone was created, I think there was a little bit of a lack of foresight in terms of how extensive that BI zone was going to rear its head along residential property. And so I applaud the planning board, I applaud the township to revise the master plan, to put some forethought into the future of this township so that we can all live practically, economically, and safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I have all night. Gonna let you think about it for a second. Seeing no one come forward, I move to close the public meeting.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, the public portion of this hearing is closed. Or we have before us the master plan update on the warehouse development.
At this point, Mr. Chairman, the chair should entertain a motion whether or not to adopt the Davis master plan update.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Sammy, second. Do a roll call on that.
Councilman Marston?
Yes.
Theodore Chase? Yes. Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabazz?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Manzray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the motion having been passed, it is the board's discretion if it would like to consider a written resolution memorialize the action that it just took.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Marston?
Yes.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shabazz?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Mustafa Manzray?
Yes.
Charles Brown?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
All right, but now we're gonna move into discussion. We have ordinance number 4391-22.
Mark, would you like to give a brief introduction?
Sure. This is an ordinance that was introduced by the Franklin Township Council on December 13th, 2022. Under the municipal land use law, they are required to send it to the planning board for its review, including consistency with the master plan and any recommendations the board may have. So that has been sent to you. Again, that ordinance is to prohibit warehouse development in the BI zone.
Perhaps, Mr. Chairman, it might help if I give a little explanation.
Yes.
The ordinance gets adopted on first reading by the governing body, by the council. It's then, by the terms of the municipal land use law, it's required to be sent over to the planning board for its review and recommendation before it can have a second and final reading. And that is what is happening right now. The master plan gives visions, all right, and recommendations
make a motion to have this resolution voted on.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded.
Councilman Inhofe,
Yes.
Theodore Chase,
Yes.
Sammy Shabon,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow. Yes. Mustafa Mensreh,
Yes.
Charles Brown,
Yes.
Robert Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you. We had hearings at Oleo International, but it was carried to February 1st, 2023. There are no committee reports, no work session of new business. Does anyone have any new business? Was not notified of me. Thank you. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved and properly seconded.
There you have it, Franklin. This was a hearing on the proposed amendments to the Township Master Plan to allow for an ordinance amendment to the Township's warehouse zoning ordinance. The board had to approve the changes to the master plan before they could consider the ordinance, because if they did it the other way around, they'd have to say no, because the ordinance amendments did not conform to the master plan as it was prior to their vote on it. So in essence, they had to open up an opportunity within the master plan to be able to do the ordinance. So that's what they've done. Now things go back to the Township Council, which is meeting next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock in the council chambers, and where they're expected to approve on second reading the ordinance that will, in effect, ban new warehouse development in the township. Now, I say in effect because it's not an outright ban, but what it is it just makes it very difficult for them to get approval. So it makes it doesn't make it a non-conforming use, doesn't make it a conditional use, it just doesn't accept it, doesn't recognize it. So a developer would have to go through a few more hoops to get approved. All right, that will wrap up our coverage of the Planning Board warehouse hearing for this evening. I was about to say January 18th. And we will be back here, I assume, in the months to come when the B9 folks decide to come back and present their amended application, which, as the attorney earlier said, will purport to conform to all township ordinances and zoning regulations for warehouses. Until next time, this is Bill Bowman from the Franklin Reporter and Advocate. Stay safe, Franklin.